I mean, have you ever gotten like just flustered playing against a really good player, and then afterwards you watch the game and you're like, oh, I wasn't that far behind?
Once or twice. I mean, you know, played thousands of games. It's
one of those things where you can like trick yourself into thinking you're far behind or in a bad position when actually you're in a great position.
Yeah, no, I mean, now that you say it like that, there's a lot of times that could happen. Wow, this is really kind of haunting. Oh, there, oh,
Grubby leaning back, getting that nice emaciated skull shading from that bright red light up on top.
But no, I know exactly what you mean. You're not too far behind, but you still somehow you feel that in your mind everything's going wrong for you, and all of a sudden there's everything barreling down on you from every angle. But you watch the replay back and you're like, oh, well actually, I could have done pretty well there. But anyway, we're going to be going on to game number 2. What map do we have, Sir Day 9?
It will be Daybreak. As Moonglade was saying earlier, this is the sort of map that doesn't really favor any one race.
Yeah.
Everyone feels comfortable. It has big enough distance to where you're like, oh, okay, I can cope with this kind of thing.
Yeah. So, indeed you do. We shall have Mr. Grubby going to be spawning up in the top right-hand corner here as our red Protoss. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, we do have Mindfreak's TargA. Currently 1 game down here, on the verge of elimination after what seems like an absolutely formidable run through this open bracket.
I mean, TargA is really almost knocked out 3 top Koreans in a row. I mean, and noteworthy ones. Ace, that everyone really got familiar with after he won the 2011 event in Hanover at IEM, and Oz, who just can't really seem to lose against Zergs as of late, and MVP, who's the best Terran in the world. I mean, perhaps you might even say Liquid Taja is the best Terran in the world, but MVP has 1,000,001 medals, as easy proof.
I think it's the more consistent of the two in terms of a long-term period. Tasia just stepping onto the scene in terms of a big way very, very recently. So MVP, I believe, still holds that mantle right now. So what do we have going on for Grubby? Looks like he is just queuing up them probes. So what's going on? Did he catch it? No. Barely.
Looks like he managed to do a little bit of damage, and Grubby says, ouch. And this actually is quite bad for Grubby, because right now a drone can pop down and feel very comfortable just chasing down that one probe.
And it actually has a relatively big effect if you're not paying attention to the probe when you're trying to deny the positioning of hatcheries, because it's got a little less hit points now. It's not going to be as useful when you're trying to deny the positioning of the hatcheries if you want to block them.
I mean, that's something that I don't know if Grubby wants to do it on this map or not. I mean, often players will go for that 3 Immortal, 7 Warp Gate all-in style on this map, just because it's kind of annoying to play a long-term game with a lot of Zergs, but Grubby is definitely the man mode Protoss. He will absolutely go toe-to-toe in a super long macro game on this map. I think the big key on this map is how Protoss is able to get up a 4th base, since it's pretty clear how to get up 3.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It can be a little bit trying to be able to get that 4th base up. But look at this once again. TargA actually going for the 3rd location straight away, not even bothering dancing with that probe to kick things off. And that's pretty good for TargA, but Grubby is one of those players that won't necessarily throw down like an immense amount of pylons and let them finish. We've spoken about it many a time, and he feels that especially 2 pylons is a massive waste that early on. So.
Yeah, well, speaking of 2 pylons, I love that Grubby went Pylon, Forge, Nexus, Pylon, and then Cannon. He's going to be doing a lot of chrono boosting on that probe count back home. I mean, his energy on his Nexus, it's so easy to let that get up to 80 or so as you're stuck on 1 pylon trying to get your gateways and all your tech up. But Grubby knows the importance of having that late-term economy.
And meanwhile, with that gate finishing, he's going to be able to step up to that 7 Essex core. And again, saying what we were saying before, I would be very surprised if Grubby doesn't use the whole 3 Immortal thing in this entire series at least once. So we shall see if he's going to do that, as we have TargA transferring his drones over now to the 3rd location. Queen's already there with that lava inject. And actually, there's only 1 Queen out right now, and it is at that 3rd. So I actually like that in terms of defensive capability.
But this looks a lot like a Ling baneling all-in from TargA. I mean, the fact that he's already gotten his gas geyser down, the Zergling speed will start. Yep, they're being left in. Looks like that's exactly what we're going to be seeing, but Grubby Oh, Grubby's going to get to see it perfectly. I'm so shocked that this queen is down here at this expansion. I mean, you need to be in the main. I mean, now Grubby... Oh, wait, what?
Wait a minute. Where's it going? And there you go. There's the baneling nest on the way. Very well deduced. As
oh, gosh, and Grubby is going to be in a dangerous position. There's actually a pylon going down at the front. He wants to try to re-wall in here, but the speed zerglings are just going to waltz right on around. Oh, Grubby might just be doomed right now. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, especially since I'm guessing with that pylon, his plan is for a very early third, potentially. As he just wants to establish gateways at the top of that ramp and then just defend fully at a third location. So that would be interesting. This is going to get very, very scary for Grubby.
Oh, this is going to get so messy so fast. The sentry now pulling back up. I mean, does he suspect yet? I mean, you have to not suspect anything at this point in time. Two sentries wandering down to the south side. Oh, gosh, this is going to turn out as badly as possible for Grubby. TargA is going to get a huge window of opportunity here.
But I actually love this move from TargA because...
Uh-oh, and there it looks like he sees what's up. He sees the baneling nest. How quickly can he react? How quickly can Grubby wall off his front? And it looks like, nope, he's going to lose both those sentries immediately.
Which, meanwhile, he does seal it off here with the gateway. He might have to cancel the 3 gateways at the front, actually, because they're pretty much just sacrificial at this point.
Oh, he might. Well, does he have enough time to... No, it looks like he doesn't have enough time to get the warp gates finished.
No.
Totally sacrificial gateways. Grubby needs to just cancel those immediately. He's desperate to get the sentries up as fast as possible, rebuilding warp gates up in the main base. Even if this doesn't pan out, TargA has a clear timing window where he can make a lot of drones. And there's the attack advancing forward, and it looks like the cybernetics core.
Oh, if he'd have got that before Warpgate had finished, that would have been absolutely crazy there for Grubby. But amazingly, Grubby actually has a really nice defense here. And behind it, he has 45 probes to the 27 drones. So I don't think TargA is actually going to be able to bust through here with the sentries in tow.
Oh, he's going to need to throw down some nice force fields at just the right time. There's a lot of weak buildings all across the front. There's the warp gates now finishing up. It's either going to have to be all sentries or all zealots.
There was a hole. I can't believe there was a hole. The first force field wasn't probably placed to be able to really block that off. I suppose it was trying to limit the damage being done to that building, but it was able to wiggle in anyway. All the probes now trying to fight against these zealots, zerglings as best they can do. But 9 workers have already gone down over to 10 workers. And wow, look how many drones he made during that.
And now all the way up to 42. I mean, if you're in Grubby's shoes, it's time to start chrono boosting them immortals, because that is going to be your timing opportunity window, just doing a big 7-gate push. Second cybernetics core now going down. Grubby also following it up with a robotics bay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting decision, and it looks like has not been seen by TargA.
Yeah, he wasn't able to. So, but as such, again, you know, TargA, he does have 51 drones out right now to the 40, so he's been able to take a little bit of a lead here. So I'm guessing from here, Grubby just goes for some 2-base Colossus all in. That seems like the most common thing to do. What, is he going to try and expand off the back of this?
Well, I mean, you could expand off the back of it. I mean, right now, there's enough money in the bank just going for the Colossus play.
We shall see. As +1 weapons begins here for TargA, and the layer kind of morphing in as well for him. Wow, so he was really tech light for that whole time. But again, there's not a whole lot of room Grubby has to be able to punish the fact that he was just droning up during that because of the, you know, really, really nice aggression that we saw from TargA, really putting Grubby on the back foot. And it looks like he is going to try and go for that expansion.
I think this is a completely acceptable play from Grubby. Just needs to make sure that he actually restocks up gas geysers in his natural expansion and main. He's short 1 of the gas at his natural, which is going to come back to haunt him if he's not careful. There's the 3rd expansion going down. One of those Colossus is down right now, but interestingly, no range coming out for Grubby. He's just stockpiling the Colossus and only revealing gateway units. Huh, that's a cool play.
That is pretty cool indeed. So where is the first Colossus? Ah, okay, it's just chilling out by the robo facility. So for now, we do have Grubby chilling out around his 3rd here. Gonna probably create himself another wall over there as well. A few roaches heading out into the middle of the map. Where are they going? But I like, once again, that TargA isn't going for the range weapons, not committing to the mid-game. He's just going for the melee weapons to be able to commit to that late-game potential that he could quite easily transition to after the initial damage was done.
Yeah, I mean, I think that any sort of tech that you do as TargA that's something like Mutalisk play or going for a hive, I think that's going to be excellent. But TargA's kind of doing like a half and half.
Yeah.
I guess, like doing some roach aggression, doing some teching, but I think this is going to come back to bite him.
It may end up doing so. I think I can't really see these roaches being too effective here. As he does catch one of them, he's going to push in up front as well. No, he's just going to break down the rocks. But the units are relatively out of place here for Grubby if he wanted to push up that ramp. So, but obviously he doesn't know that right now. But now he does.
There's now, it looks like the extended thermal lance getting very close to finish, but he hasn't yet revealed it. And there's a nice force field. Will allow him to hide those Robo Bay units just a little bit longer. And I think Grubby is doing exactly what you were talking about, just going for a, it looks like a 2-base-ish timing push, but oh, another sentry is definitely going to allow a nice block at the front. The Zerglings try to stop and kill off the Colossus. They get diced to shreds immediately, and Grubby's now been completely revealed. Will he continue to add on more Colossus? Is he going to back up and go for the Immortal tech? There is one Immortal hiding in there with all that's been said and done.
And with TargA actually being able to spot that, he does start that Spire instantaneously, but at the same time, he started Pneumatized Carapace as well as Ventral Sacs. And I do enjoy myself some good drop play. Now, this, in theory, could quite easily exploit the relative immobility of Protoss by dropping in the main, trying to kill off some of those tech buildings, or even just the infrastructure in general. It's becoming more and more common, this drop play.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you open up with some sort of baneling play, then you can just transition calmly into baneling carpet bombs. Where you load them all up into the Overlords and unload them directly on that clumped Protoss army. There's been a sort of weird delay on the Colossus production from Grubby. I mean, ordinarily Protosses are just giddy to be able to get a lot of Colossus started up very, very early, but Grubby, I like the fact that he's adding on a lot of gateways. I mean, Blink Stalkers end up being much more the staple in the late game, as opposed to any sort of big damage-dealing unit.
And meanwhile, we're up to 84 drones here for TargA, to the 66 pros of Grubby. Income tabs looking slightly even, but TargA obviously pressing forward a little bit with that nice drone lead. And Grubby looking to probably take a fourth here, actually, as that pylon does set up. But you could quite easily still use that pylon just for the aggression anyway. It's a little bit exposed.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent place to plant the pylon. It sort of lets you take a stake of that front area, and it makes Zerg at the very least think about it. TargA could deal with it, but he needs to have a ton of banelings, but he just doesn't. He's just finished a +2 attack, which means that now his banelings can kill off probes in one drop, and he's building some, but not a lot. Grubby's army not very big either.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's going to push in for now. Those 3 Colossus can do quite a bit of damage, considering he never actually bought any Corruptors, despite actually getting the Spire down. So these 3 Colossus are going to have the way with this location, and 2 Infestors instantaneously fall there to the Thermal Lances. So Grubby pushing in, pretty nice timing. Oh, but everything's loaded up.
Oh, it's loaded up, and there's the push. Does he have Blink? He does. He spreads it out, and the Colossus trying to spread themselves out as well. TargA with a bomb, now immediately dropping all the banelings. They're dealing incredible amounts of damage, and TargA with this Roach baneling composition looks like it's just not quite enough. The blinks from Grubby gets him in a good position.
Oh, indeed. He's got a few more Stalkers left over here, but right now there's still a few Infestors as well as Lings that are going to be able to shoo those guys away. Needs to retreat for now. +3 weapons is on the way from him as well here, but TargA for now is just replenishing that Infestor count, and he's also getting that Hive morphing in along with those air weapons upgrades.
And this is the one thing that I'm really concerned about for Grubby is these counter drops in the main. This is going to be so difficult to deal with. As Grubby, you suddenly can't take a 4th for quite some time. You got to be able to deal with these little miniature drops that are going to be happening at you all the time, and then suddenly your bottom right base is totally vulnerable.
Yep, too true. These Zerglings going to be able to draw back a good amount of Grubby's army here. As, oh, that being said, though, he's actually moving down to the 3rd. He realizes what could potentially occur here with the positioning of this pylon, actually being able to scout out the entirety of his opponent's force, and for now, going to clean up the rest of that in the main.
Reasonable play there by TargA. Helped by TargA a lot of needed time. I mean, that Hive Tech is getting ever close to done. He can start that 3-3 upgrade right away, go into that Ling Ultra play that we've been seeing him do a ton, getting that super early Adrenal Gland. And if you're Grubby, do you build cannons in the main? Do you feel like that's too much? Do you try to push forward and force him to have his drop units at the front line? It's just so unclear as a Protoss player.
Yep, can be, but I mean, for now, he's actually pushing out with the one Colossus. How many, do we actually even have any Corruptors out in this? I actually really like the fact that he skipped Corruptors and was just content with just going for the baneling drops to kill Colossus. That's pretty awesome. I like that.
I mean, it's certainly one way to deal with the Colossus, and honestly, it also helps deal with that bunched up Blink Stalker Force quite well, especially if you can get off some excellent bungles. But it looks like, again, there's somewhat of a delay on getting all those banelings up. A great run in there for Grubby, picks off those two Overlords. And there's the fourth heading down.
Yeah, and he's also getting that Templar Archives as well as that Stargate to be able to transition to that Archon toilet potential here. One Stalker moving forward to see exactly what's going on and wisely blinking back, saving his life. Nicely done there. But for now, Grubby, it's establishing his fourth. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't actually seen TargA try and establish a fifth. He's been on 4 bases for quite a while here. Is there a specific reason for this? Or?
I think it's just slight forgetfulness from TargA. I mean, you're doing these drops in the main, you're doing these pushes at the fourth, you're trying to catch Grubby off guard, that it's easy to forget that you can just throw down an Expo at the top left. I mean, even this Zealot that has 0 kills, even if it was there, you just send a few lings up. This will absolutely be able to deny this one drone.
Ooh, nice little save there on the Extractor to be able to keep that guy alive.
The entire army returns to pick off the Zealot. In the meantime, Grubby's actually going to take that chance to pick off this Southern Expo.
Pretty nice little move there, and sends a hallucinated Colossus forward.
Oh, that's a great play. I love this. That's a really easy way to make the entire Protoss army just freak out and rally ho.
I think also it would have been a really, really cool scout. I mean, well, actually, no, you could have just used a Phoenix if you wanted to scout any kind of tech potentials out. And by this point anyway, you're going to know exactly where your opponent's going because it's the 22-minute mark. He's going to be getting a Great Aspire, and he knows that because, you know, he's getting that Stargate out. He knows his timings, so no real need to be able to scout that.
Grubby trying to cannon up this extra Expo. We see an Archon out. It looks like it is a High Templar Archon. He's going to start transitioning slightly away from Colossus. And there's a big force. A nice blink play by Grubby helps him create an arc. And there, Grubby advancing forward right as the Broodlords are in production. TargA must engage cost ineffectively. He's desperately trying to get those Broodlords up. And it looks like Grubby was hoping to do enough damage to be able to blink directly underneath those Broodlords. And there he's underneath. He's starting to pick off one before it even finishes. One Broodlord is up. The timing from Grubby was amazing.
Oh, absolutely meticulous. He had an observer sat over those Broodlords as they were morphing in, so he knew he had to hit that timing. Really, really nice just control of the game there by Grubby. I mean, he loses a lot, but in essence, he stifles the potential push coming from TargA and kills a lot of very, very valuable units.
Yeah, TargA will be able to deal with this and thwart it at the end of the day. Grubby might actually have to be a little bit careful. This is a lot of Zerglings. There's a sudden counter push with a lot of Banelings at the expansion. Grubby could potentially lose it, but...
that last Stalker just gets one more shot of killing a full energy Infestor, which is quite nice there as well for Grubby. Meanwhile, though, a few more Zealots and Archon actually warping in here. As you said, that's a lot of Zerglings left over. This could be quite damaging.
Fortunately, Grubby had a good little defense set up. He has himself a sentry with maximum energy, and he misses the force field.
Oh no, meanwhile the Zerglings in the third as well, trying to shred up those probes, and they kill them so fast with Adrenal Glands and the 3-2. So now he's got 30 probe kills in total, but for now the Zerglings run away elsewhere.
I mean, Grubby is transitioning to this Zealot Archon style, extremely powerful mixture. It's actually very difficult to deal with. The Zerg Roaches actually don't even perform very well against a Zealot Archon pure mixture, but that's only if the Archon count is high enough. And Grubby's down to 2 Roaches are going to be extremely effective against this for the time being.
Could be indeed, as those Colossus still piling out here for Grubby as well, with that Mothership popping in just a little bit. That is going to be very useful. Do we have any Broodlords on the map? No, we do not. So TargA still constricted to 4 base against 4 base Protoss, which is not really a good situation for him to be in, despite being ahead in terms of supply for now.
Well, it's really nice. Grubby just had a pylon sitting here, and in the midst of all that, he just warped in some Zealots and kept killing off this top left Expo. So I think Grubby is semi-stable at this point in time. He just needs to hang out, build up his Archons, and get ready for attack number 2.
And again, this is very, very important for Grubby. This, if he wins this, he qualifies for group stage.
Yeah.
So there's no way he's going to bow out of this anytime soon. He is going to grind it out until the very end here. 4 Broodlords are morphing in, and he sees them once again with the Observer, so he might push right now.
And it looks like he's starting to, at the very least, to step forward. Wants to see if there's those High Templar there. Oh, he's going to be able to get 1-2 immediately, and then morphs in the Archon. He might even be able to save that Archon. Nope. You can do the cute trick where you blink in 2 Stalkers in front of it and walk
push it away.
Push it. But
come with us. No. Poor guy. But yeah, we have 3 more Corruptors on the way, plus 2 ranged weapons on the way as well for our Zergy buddy. And Grubby, he knew about the Broodlords, so now he has to deal with them despite having full knowledge of them previously. Misses that timing to be able to push in. But again, there was so much there from TargA. It would have been very difficult to try and break that at that point.
There's some funky composition dancing going on by both these players. Oh God, is Grubby relieved to see that there's no base there, and instantly goes ahead and gives a little bit of a slap around to these drones. He's trying to do some mining.
Yeah. And we have the 5th base on the way here for Grubby down to the bottom. There were a few Zerglings able to actually scout that out for TargA, but there's one Zealot down there that was able to mince those guys up. Just leaving a few more down here, just in case an extra Zergling counter-attack would come along, and killing off a Changeling in the middle there, making sure he doesn't have the vision of him. Is that Observer still alive, or I think it's dead now, the one that was keeping an eye on the Broodlords?
Well, yeah. It looks like I see one Observer on the map for Grubby. It's hanging out in the middle of the map, just freshly remade, but I just want to note, this is what happens when you have 2 in gas. There's 850 gas in here, and the other one of the natural is empty. He could have had 850 more gas at this point in time. That's very nearly 3 Archons worth of gas, but Grubby still trying to hold down. Infested Terrans being launched at the front line to make sure that nothing too scary ends up pressing forward, but TargA doing a little bit of a risky push.
I love that as well. He's actually kind of, in theory, zoning out Stalkers from blinking forwards whilst moving along with them, because he's almost guaranteed to take damage if they blink forwards and get hit by the... Oh, dear me!
He nabs all the Broodlords, and TargA flies all his Broodlords in. He's launching as many Infested Terrans into there as he can. There's the blink forward, and all these Archons are going to be shoved to the outskirts. He's walking in with absolutely everything, and there it looks like...
The Archons demolished the Broodlords despite all those Infested Terrans popping at exactly the same time. Right now, TargA trying to still do the damage, and he actually has quite a lot of DPS left over, but still, the Mothership ends up falling, and the Stalkers have to blink back for now.
And Grubby now having to do a readjustment to his composition, building now mostly Stalkers, picks off that last Broodlord. TargA making the misstep of putting everything into that Vortex. That helps surround the Archons. That helps shove them closer together as opposed to throwing in just the Infested Terrans that will help bounce them out.
Yeah, and TargA for now just kind of dancing around in the middle of the map, looking for some area he can do some damage. But meanwhile, Grubby has already got that Dark Shrine. He's going to be warping in some DTs to go on the counter-offensive here, there, and everywhere. And how many is he going to be able to get any damage done with? This is the question.
And now Grubby darts up to the top left position, 2 DTs following up to the top left to pick off anything that hasn't been defended there. But TargA is about to make the game-winning play. He's going to move up to try to take out this 4th expansion, and there is nothing anywhere nearby to defend it. The only 2 pylons are in a vulnerable position, so warp-ins aren't even likely, and now Grubby has to move down to the very, very vulnerable bottom right expansion.
That's very true. He will be extremely vulnerable down there, but at the same time the DTs are going to work. So many Overseers actually morphing in here to try and deal with them. They've already killed off 1 or 2 hatcheries, and they're just going to town everywhere. And right now, so saturated over at this 4th base.
Grubby is barely getting in what he needs. These 2, 3 DTs are just ripping apart the carcass of the 3rd base, really. There's no more minerals left there, and Grubby just able to annihilate these Zerglings, but oh my gosh, the Infestation Pit is there. Oh my gosh, look at TargA's gas. He needs to have that Infestation Pit up, and it falls. And Grubby now advancing forward. Grubby should not be in this game right now.
Oh, indeed. I mean, those DTs saving grace of him really blinks forward, sniping out a few of these Infestors. Nice move there to be able to take 3 very expensive units down. Meanwhile, though, nice fungal, and he's going to come in to surround this entire force. Grubby looking down and out in terms of a composition, as it were. But and TargA with so many units left over.
Gosh, I mean, the temptation to pick off every single one of those Infestors was a little bit too great. Yeah. He takes them down, but again, Grubby is not going to have himself a mining expansion any longer. He must retreat. TargA taking down all these probes, and Grubby, who seemed like he was inches away from closing the series 2-0, now looks like might have to go on to a game number 3, and TargA is keeping his own hopes alive.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive player by TargA. Despite Grubby throwing so many spanners in the works here, TargA has been able to deal with them and been able to recoup his losses and stabilize from there on. Constantly just keeping cool, keeping calm, and being able to really make those very, very well-executed plays going into these later stages, like taking out these bases.
I mean, you have to remember that TargA was actually not really defeated in the last game. He just made an incredible error that caused him to just be out immediately as a result. And now we see the Overseer stepping forward. It's going to have to be a series of amazing feedbacks, and TargA